Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show, and I'm your host, Skip Coryell, author of 22 books, Marine Corps veteran, founder of the Second Amendment March, proud father of 7, grandfather to 19 and counting, and as a special bonus, I'm also madly in love with my own wife. My priorities in life are God, family, and country in that order, and I hereby promise to never compromise in my convictions. I may go broke, but I'll never go woke. And speaking of in love with my own wife, my co-host is here.
Hello.
The adoring, the beautiful Sara Coryell.
Tired today.
I am tired as well. We have been working our butts off today, haven't we?
Fall. It seems to be part of fall for us.
Well, let me see. This morning, I was at the gun range teaching a church safety class, came right home, and we dived into the wood. We were splitting wood and cutting wood and hauling wood and stacking wood.
I drew kitchen duty, got out of all that firewood, but man, I was doing all the inside work, so I'm just tired.
Well, hey, it all has to be
done. And everybody got fed, and we did some good work. We were so far behind on our firewood. Like, we've never been this far behind on getting those sheds filled.
Well, the last couple of years we've paid to have it brought in, but
it didn't work out this year for some reason.
No, it didn't work out this year, but that's okay. We'll get it done. I thought we'd get it done in one day, but I was naive and foolish.
You were very optimistic.
Well,
I like your optimism.
Okay. Well, my back is killing me, but hey, I'm not going to complain. It's just that in the fall, there's like harvesting the garden, canning all the food there, shooting the deer, processing the deer, the firewood, everything has to be done in preparation for winter. I had to, fix the chicken coop gate, just
You had
so
to fix the
much stuff.
chainsaw.
Yeah, the chainsaw and the wood splitter. I got to fix that too. It's on the fritz. So.
Again,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hey, things fall apart. The center does not hold. You know who wrote that?
Actually, I don't. But you do quote it sometimes.
It was, who was it? William Butler Yeats? Some Irish poet guy,
Irishman. Aw,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Okay. All right. Well, all right, Sara, since we're both so tired, let's not go 25, 30 minutes today, okay? What is on the show today?
Oh, well, today we're talking to Trevor DeGroote, the owner of Trinity Training and Security, all about the state of the private security industry in America. Then we'll be talking to self-defense instructor and retired DEA agent Vann Winn from Georgia, all about the correlation between drugs and crime.
Going to learn a lot about drugs today. Drugs and crime and security.
Excellent. Excellent. It sounds good.
But before we get too far into the show, let's thank our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range, Trinity Training and Security, and Apple Tree Media. All right, Sara, what is on the news today? I already know it's a doozy. Go ahead.
What leads someone to commit a mass shooting? Trump administration.
Think about that for a second. What leads someone to commit a mass shooting?
I don't even want to think
Isn't
about it.
that a bizarre question?
Crazy. It's just crazy.
It's just so inconceivable. But this whole mass shooting thing, it's been around, since Columbine. What was that, like 35 years ago, something like that?
Not sure. It seems like it's been a really long time.
But prior to that, there were hardly any. I mean, it was just bizarre.
Well, and it's not like they're killing those people and then feeling like they conquered something and walking out like a conqueror. These people usually end up committing suicide after they're done. So it's like, I'm going down and I'm taking all of you people with me. It feels like they're blaming the people that they're shooting, for their own internal pain. I kind of always got that impression.
Well, I think this article, they're trying to shed some light on it. So
Okay.
go ahead, dive back into that.
All
I'll stop you
Okay. All right.
when I want to.
Uh, okay. The Trump administration, RFK Jr., planned to find out. All right. Good luck to them. Here we go. 2 children were killed and 17 others were injured when a shooter opened fire during a morning mass for a Minneapolis Catholic school, with the nation subsequently reeling from the tragedy and reigniting debate about ways to prevent such horror in the future. This kind of violence is very recent. It's a new thing in human history, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said during a Thursday morning interview on Fox and Friends. There was no time in the past when people would walk into a church or a classroom and start shooting people. And it's not really happening in other countries. It's happening here. And we need to look at all of the potential culprits that might be contributing to that. The FBI is investigating the shooting, which FBI Director Kash Patel called an act of domestic terrorism and hate crimes targeting Catholics. While Trump administration officials are offering prayers and looking at ways to address the nation's ongoing mental health crisis. John Lott, the founder and president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, told Fox News Digital about some of the top variables involved in such shootings, including killers seeking to gain as much media attention as possible by targeting areas where people are usually unarmed. You read these diaries and manifestos over and over again. These guys know that they're going to commit suicide, Lott said. They know or they believe they're going to die. People have always wanted to commit suicide, but somewhere along the line, people who felt unappreciated, who didn't think people knew what a great person they were, or whatever, realized they could get national and international attention by killing lots of people. That was just a crazy paragraph. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt myself on that.
I know, but it's all true. What he's saying is true. These people, they're unhappy and they're confused. I think in some cases they might even be like demon possessed or spiritually oppressed in some way to make them do this. It's like they feel like they have to go out with a bang, or it's like this life isn't going the way I wanted it to. I'm not popular. I'm all screwed up. I'm not going to succeed at this life. But there's this drive for young people these days to become famous. It's like it has to happen. And if you don't have like 5 million, likes or friends on social media, you're not successful. And it's like success is the most important thing, but most of us aren't born with a great body and handsome or beautiful or the smartest. Most of us are just like normal, average.
Right.
And we have to work hard. But I think there's no purpose. It's like it's nihilistic. There's this, you've heard that phrase, there's a God-sized hole inside everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a God-sized hole inside these people, and they're trying to fill it with fame and just success, and that doesn't work at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is primarily it's spiritual, but it's at a cultural level. It's epidemic.
Would explain why it's here and not necessarily other places.
Yeah, it
Especially
could be
here.
in other countries. It's like, hey, I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to put food on the table.
Well, our culture isn't so different from Western Europe.
Well, we could go like the West and
I think that's the one that interests
third
me most
world
because,
countries.
like third world countries, they have a whole different set of problems. I mean, like if you really see real death right up and close, I don't think you're going to be thinking it's a great idea to go shoot up people. It's just,
Well, but
I feel like that's going to put you in a different state of mind.
it's still there. It's actually more people die over in, Africa, Uganda, Kenya, the Congo.
But not just to make a statement like this.
No, it's to dominate other people or
Right.
genocide. They won't kill 2 people and injure 18.
Take out the village.
They'll kill 18,000 people. That's
Yeah.
the difference.
Yeah, I wasn't saying they weren't killing, but this particular type of killing.
Yeah.
Why isn't it happening in Western Europe too? Because Western Europe has more of a similar.
Well, they have mass stabbings. They don't have guns. They have knives.
Oh.
I think they have just as much violence as we do. It's just a different kind of violence.
Hmm.
Well, read on. Let's figure it out.
The Minneapolis shooter committed suicide during the Wednesday morning rampage. They know if they go to a place where their victims are defenseless, they're going to be able to go and kill more people and get more media attention, Lott said. And so the thing to stop these attacks is to take away this notoriety that they can get.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's really kind of crazy. It's like, I don't know, if I wanted to be famous, I'd want to be famous before I died so I could enjoy it.
Yeah. If that's really what they're after.
But I guess these are disturbed people.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I think so. Lott has long called for the obliteration of gun-free zones and said the Trump administration has the opportunity to harden schools by removing such zones as well as signs designating them, which essentially advertise that no one inside a facility has a firearm. Really good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah. That's his book, More Guns, Less Crime. That's basically what it's all about. And over 90% of these mass shootings occur in gun-free zones. You know, in law enforcement, that's what we call a clue.
Yeah. 90% is pretty high.
Yeah.
So go with that.
Yep.
There may be other things we're missing, but start with the one that has 90% by it. Yeah. Instead, Lott said schools and other common soft targets should install signs noting that select teachers and staff are armed with concealed weapons to protect students and others.
Yeah. Let's go there.
Even if they weren't, just putting up the sign
Yeah.
would have an interesting effect, I think.
Yes, it would.
Not that I'm encouraging lying, just it might take a while for the people in the schools to be comfortable carrying all of a sudden. But if they had that up there, then at least they start thinking about it possibly.
You know, if you don't want to arm and train your teachers or the parents or whatever, then pay the money to get armed security in there.
It's the custodians. They've got that cart they're carrying around.
They have the
Nobody would expect it.
Have an armored cart.
Well, and the teachers have to put down all their stuff behind their desk, then wander all over the room and, work with students. The custodians kind of doing their own little thing, but they're like a guard in the hallway.
Ah.
Guard custodian.
I don't know. There's some pretty creepy custodians.
It's just met some really nice ones. I've had really good luck with custodians.
All right, read on.
Sorry, back to the subject at hand. Okay. Wednesday's shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church unfolded as young students of the church's parochial school attended Mass during their first week back in classrooms. The tragedy ultimately left 2 children, ages 8 and 10, dead, and 17 other students and people injured. In response to Kennedy floating a potential tie between shootings and certain prescription intake, Senior advisor to America First Legal, Ian Pryor, told Fox Digital that the conservative group uncovered FDA documents showing the government knew puberty blockers increase depression and suicidal thoughts.
So you knew that this was a transgender person?
You might have told me once, but I think I was tired and distracted. So,
this is another transgender shooter. This is a Catholic school who is against that.
Yeah.
Right. And so he left this manifesto. His real name's, Robert. He renamed himself to Robin. I don't know, these transgender people, it's like we know that they're disturbed. We already know that. If you don't know what sex you are, you're mentally disturbed. Okay. Confused. And then they add all these drugs that they give them, psychotropic drugs, puberty blockers, all these things and they're finding out that these drugs, they have real adverse effects on people. They cause depression, confusion, dysphoria, all kinds of stuff. They just make everything worse. And I found myself feeling sorry for transgender people this week because they're being encouraged by their teachers.
All the powerful people around them.
Yeah, it's like, I remember, when I was a kid, not everyone was masculine and tough like I was.
When you're a little boy, you're not supposed to be.
Oh, well.
Goodness.
I know, but some guys were just
super feminine. I mean, I wasn't
I know.
like girly girl.
Some guys were just a little more less masculine than others, and they got teased, and that's wrong.
It'd be wrong, yes.
I mean, that doesn't mean you're not a man or that you're not supposed to be a man.
Mm-mm.
Okay. It just means that God made everybody
Unless you're a
different.
musician or an artist.
Yeah, well, that could be.
My
Could be.
my father is a wonderful man, but
Yeah,
he's a musician, and there's certain things about like the way he moves his hands sometimes, and the way
sure.
he's got a little bit of a higher voice because he's a tenor, just beautiful singing voice. But I'm sure it would be easy in some circles to give him a hard time, but
Yeah.
he's not. It's just foolish. It's missing the whole point.
Yep.
He's
Exactly. Continue, please.
Are we going to finish this article? Yet they still push them on vulnerable kids. We're flooding children with drugs that destabilize their minds, from puberty blockers to SSRIs.
I don't even know what those are.
Oh, okay.
They're coming up with new drugs on me here.
Oh, okay. Yep. And making an acronym out of it too.
Yes.
Excellent. And then acting surprised when tragic violence erupts, he said. Instead of protecting kids, federal regulators have created a generation struggling with instability that endangers both themselves and the public. If we want to end mass shootings, we must confront these underlying causes head on. Democratic lawmakers have come out in force to voice support for additional gun control following the shootings while denouncing gun violence and weapons of war on U.S. streets. Huh.
Yep.
Are they the ones pushing all this stuff too, right?
Well, yeah, but
gender changing stuff.
they've been doing that since Columbine. I mean, and the low-hanging fruit would be the AR-15, but most mass shootings don't involve long guns.
Okay.
They involve pistols mostly.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the Democrats originally came up with the Jim Crow laws back when. And that was
correct.
To keep, literally, that I'm sorry to be blunt, but that was to keep people of color from carrying guns, right?
That it was one of the Jim Crow laws.
It's
Was
just
that, yeah.
ridiculous. But that was what. So that's the Democratic Party even back then, right?
Well, yeah, the Democrats were the pro-slavery party.
Yeah. So
And the Republicans were the first party. They were formed in, I think, 1850. And they were the first party that was against slavery. So, and that was part of their platform. They were anti-slavery. And, Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican president. But hey, yeah, they have always been against guns. They're against freedom. They just want to control everything for themselves. And if they can't have it, and it's like immoral what they're doing to our kids.
Yeah.
It's immoral. It's wrong. It's sick. It's wrong. But it's like they're shameless. They are totally shameless. They can't be that clueless. They can't be that stupid. Okay? I mean, because it's not logical to blame an inanimate object, on deadly violence.
That's true.
The gun.
I mean, it's just a harmless.
The gun, it just sits there.
Just sits there.
Okay?
Yeah.
No gun ever hurt anyone until it's attached to a human.
I think the idea is that its purpose is to shoot. Like a car, its purpose is to transport people, while a gun, its purpose is to shoot something. Otherwise, it has no purpose. But
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, either a sporting purpose, a hunting, target practice, self-defense, weapons of war. Okay?
yeah,
But those are all supposed to be for defense.
or
right?
hunting, providing for your family,
And that inconvenient Bill of Rights just keeps getting in the way of control by the Democrats. The Second Amendment, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Yeah.
And they just keep bumping up against that, and they'll come right out and tell you, if we could get rid of the Second Amendment, we would.
That's really
But
scary.
if they get rid of the Second Amendment, the First Amendment comes right after that.
Yeah.
And everything else. Because I don't trust them.
Scary. Well,
I don't trust the drug dealers, and I don't trust politicians. I think they're like at the same, golf club together or something, rubbing elbows.
Well, we need to pray for our politicians then, because they think that
Yes, we do.
the tank they swim in is a scary place, and they have to somehow do the right thing in the middle of all that temptation and confusion and compromise.
Well, and I think a lot of the general public, they want politicians to solve this problem for them. But what they're not seeing is that they are part of the problem.
I think a good, strong family will solve
Exactly.
a lot of that.
The
if you've got a good, strong dad and a good, strong mom, your kid is going to know who he is. And he might be a little bit like his dad, and then his dad can help him explain, this is a gentle part, this is a tough part.
Because what did they say in the opening paragraph? This is fairly new to human history. This didn't used to happen. But guns have been around for like 300 years.
They had homosexuality problems in other generations before, like other millennia. But they didn't do this for one, they didn't have the guns, but for two, they weren't.
Or puberty blockers.
They weren't using drugs like that to do what happened.
Yeah. This is
surgery.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they made eunuchs, I guess.
I think it's a multifaceted problem that can't be solved just by getting rid of guns.
Oh,
okay, because that's not what
solving the problem.
That's not what has happened in, England or Belgium or France.
Well, if that's not the problem, then that's not going to solve it. You have to solve the problem.
Yes, and the problem
it's crazy.
It's in the hearts of people.
Yeah, well, if they're giving them drugs to make them.
Well, one of the things that they said later in this article, we don't have the whole article here. They were talking about nihilism, and when people grow up believing that there is no purpose to life, then it's like, what's the point? If there's no purpose to life, there's no value to life. If there's no value to life, then I can do anything that I want. I can kill people, and it doesn't really matter.
It makes sense. So if you're hurting,
and that goes hand in hand with evolution. Okay, if we were pond scum and we evolved from that,
right,
then human life has no value.
Right.
So, basically, when you turn from God and try to do it your own way, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways and seek my face, then I will heal their land. Our land is broken, it's sick, it's wounded because we turned away from God. And that is the bottom line. If you want to heal this, then heal yourself first. Turn back to God. Would you like to argue with me about that?
I would not like to argue with you about that. I think it was an excellent point.
I thought
Spot
as
on.
much.
Spot on.
I wanted to hear you say it. That's all. All right. Well, we're going to be talking more about drugs and crime throughout the show. Sorry we couldn't be more positive, but maybe next week. All right.
Well, we know it's a big issue, and if we
yes,
find a way to unravel how to solve it a little, I think.
Well, it's not going away. It's not going away.
But if we can, if it's touching most homes that we're, our listeners are in.
Well, it touches us. We know we have people in our lives, in our families and our friends that aren't stable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we all have to deal with it.
Be aware of it. Mm-hmm.
All right, Sarah, what's coming up next here?
All right. Next, we are talking to Trevor DeGroote, the owner of Trinity Training and Security, all about the state of the private security industry in America. Then we'll be talking with self-defense instructor and retired DEA agent Vann Winn from Georgia about the correlation between drugs and crime.
He's going to educate me about drugs. All right, but in the meantime, God bless and stay safe, because we will be right back.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
At Center Shot Gun Range, we are passionate about training. Don't know where to start? We offer a 1-hour new shooter seminar to introduce you to the world of firearms and help you find training opportunities specific to you. Concealed carry, home defense, firearm safety, AR-15, private one-on-one training, custom training, or maybe you're on a security team looking to protect your church or business. We even offer weekday morning and evening classes. Center Shot Gun Range has you covered. Start your journey at centershotgunrange.com.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
Attention business owners. Are you leaving your website open to security issues and hacking due to a lack of maintenance or overseas outsourcing? Don't let that happen to your business. Choose experienced U.S.-based website developers that can customize your website to fit your specific needs. Appletree MediaWorks has been growing businesses online since 2009. With over 80 years of combined experience, their team conducts constant research and development to keep up with ever-changing online threats. Your website deserves the best protection available. Call Appletree MediaWorks today at 877-977-1364 to keep your website secure and grow your business online. Or visit appletree.media.
Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If this sounds good to you, you sound good to me. And I'd like to help you do those things. Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If you're looking for more excitement in your life, we have nothing to offer you. But if you are a thoughtful, responsible, nonviolent man or woman, we'd love to teach you what to do if something crazy happens. More importantly, we'd like to teach you what not to do. We currently have over 500,000 members. They are doctors and single moms and firemen and grandmothers and veterans and Democrats and Republicans and members of every faith. But the one thing they all have in common is that they know exactly what to do if something crazy happens. When you're with one of our members, you are safe. Our members know how to de-escalate situations. They know how to calm things down. We are the United States Concealed Carry Association. See what we're all about at usconcealedcarry.com.
Discover the little-known backstory of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association at usconcealedcarry.com.
In today's world, safety and preparedness are more important than ever. At Trinity Training and Security, we offer comprehensive training for your peace of mind. Whether you're obtaining your concealed pistol license, mastering CPR and first aid, or engaging in scenario-based training, we've got you covered. We look forward to working with you in one of our classes or bringing the class to your church, school, or business. Need security for an event? Protecting your assets? Our team provides private security, close protection, media crew escorts, high security terminations, and more. Always with discretion and professionalism. With Trinity, safety is more than a service. It's a commitment.
Some say his face is painfully ugly, and I agree. But who cares? This is radio. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was a beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show. Folks, we live in a dangerous world, and I want you to be able to protect and defend the ones you love. And that's why I have this show. It's my way of empowering you to accomplish one of your primary jobs in life. You are a protector and a defender. All right, listeners, before we get too far into the show, don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Centershot Indoor Gun Range, and Appletree Media. Without our sponsors, this show wouldn't be on the air, so we thank you all. And now I'd like to welcome Trevor DeGroote to the show. He's the owner of Trinity Training and Security and our newest Home Defense Show sponsor. Trevor, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
Thank you, Skip. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on. Appreciate that. Let me see. We first met was at the Berry County Church Safety Summit. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, probably. It's hard to know if it was that or somewhere in passing or
well,
small enough world that I'm not 100% sure, but you're probably right.
All right. Well, I'm the host, so I'm always right, at least on the show.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Trevor, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about Trinity Training and Security. What do you guys do? What are you all about?
Yeah, so what we're all about, kind of the ethos behind the company is our biggest objective is in every way, shape, and form that we can possibly do, minimize the ability of people to be victimized in the world. And
say that again. Say that again. I kind of like that.
That might be.
Well, not the whole thing. The ability to keep people from being victimized in the world, something like that. That was nice.
Minimize the ability for people to be victimized. That's our goal. And the couple ways we do that training and security. So on the training side of the house, we do things like CPL classes, advanced pistol classes, CPR, AED, first aid, really just upgrading people's capabilities is our goals there, again, so that we believe that they're their own first responder, and then really pushing that accountability for safety of yourself and your loved ones and those around you. And then on the security side of the house, we do everything from event venues like weddings and corporate events to armed venues on up to executive protection, personal security details, and really everything in between. So in that capacity, that's where that no victims mentality is. When we're there, we do everything we can to promote a safe and secure environment.
Yeah, when you talk about first responders, most people, the first thing that comes to their mind is police officers, firemen, paramedics, that kind of a thing. But in reality, they're really second responders. They're the second ones on the scene. The first person on the scene is going to be the victim and the criminal. So when you say be your own first responder, that's the reality of it. And if you're not prepared to be the first responder, then you might need a paramedic later on. So I'm glad that you do that. I'm also glad that you teach classes on CPR, first aid, that kind of a thing, because that's pretty much ignored by a lot of CPL holders. It's all they care about is the gun, right? The fun stuff that we take out to the range. But CPR, tourniquets, we don't really need that. But in reality, we really, really do.
Yeah, if you spend enough time around human beings, which I hope everybody does, because I think that's the way we're designed, is we're community creatures. And if you spend enough time around humans, it's really not an if, it's a when, even if it's just a Band-Aid or something small on up to something bigger, like having to give CPR or perform the Heimlich maneuver or something like that. I mean, we're all humans, and we all have something at some point. Otherwise,
Well,
we'll live forever.
You've got wife and kids, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So anyone with a family, if you've got kids, somebody's going to get hurt. That's just the way. That's the way kids work. I mean, they have a tendency to run into tables, run into walls. I had one of my kids run into a sliding glass door. It's like they thought it was nice and clean, so they thought it was open. So they just ran right into it. Fortunately, it didn't break, but it could have. And that's where the first aid comes in. So I'm glad you guys teach that. What kind of trends are you seeing in the training world right now? Is it up? Is it down? How are things going in that regard?
We are, in all honesty, we're seeing a downward trend in personal training, where people are taking classes on their own account, but we're seeing an upward trend in corporate trainings, where businesses and entities are more and more recognizing the need, and then bringing that in for their people and their staff and their volunteers, depending on the organization. So it's kind of a flip and a flop there, where it's, the individual, we're seeing less and less people. And I honestly do not know why, if it's economic or what have you, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm noticing the same thing, Trevor, and I talk with USCCA quite a bit, and they train all over the country. That's this whole training industry. It's just an industry of peaks and valleys. It goes up, it goes down, up and down. Right now, it's down, but it's like a month from now, it could be up. You just never really know what's going to set it off. In my experience, because I've been doing this for 25 years. Basically, when people start to take pistol classes, self-defense classes, when they feel threatened, when they feel afraid, when society gets very tenuous and they don't know what's going to happen. Basically, it's kind of a fear-driven kind of a thing, which it really shouldn't be. It should be just like, hey, intellectually, I need to be prepared for whatever might happen. But that's not the way it is. It's driven by politics as well, depending on who's president. I mean, back when Barack Obama was president, it's like, man, those were some of the best times to be a trainer or to be an FFL, because he was like the best the gun salesman that we've ever had in America. But so I'm sure it'll go back up again. Talk a little bit about the security side of it now, because that's not something that I know a lot about, and that does interest me.
The trends, or what? It, how hard do you want me to open the can of worms? I'm talking about the security industry.
Well, hey, we've got 15 minutes, so you talk as much as you want about whatever you want. You're the guest, okay?
It's a very interesting industry, and it's like I said on the can of worms, it's got a lot of different facets to it. Everything from unarmed details, which there is a time and a place for that. We're a big fan of having the capability of a firearm if possible, but say at a concert down in the pits in the middle of a crowd of a couple thousand people, unarmed's appropriate there. But anyways, just as one example, but everything from unarmed site security and event security up to, executive protection, very personalized personal security details there, where we actually are starting one in about an hour here, where it's very much for a specific family that is a higher net worth family that's going to be transported to and from everywhere they go for the next 3 years, as they just took up residency in the United States here. But it's just an interesting industry where you have everything from events with thousands of people all the way down to the one, and they're all equally important, and they all have their unique challenges and how you navigate providing safety and security for people in those environments and the way you go about it.
So you've got like executive protection, one-on-one, where you maybe watch someone's house, or maybe you escort them. Is that what you're talking about in that regard?
Yeah, so that can come up in a few different ways, where we've done for individuals with certain positions in companies where there's a threat that's made, specifically after that assassination of that CEO in New York. That was when we've seen a very big spike in the demand and recognition of need for that. It can go from, something where, like one example being a family that has a lot of money and wants to be protected, and that's the way they're used to living their life, is having security and people that drive them around and watch out for them so they don't have to worry about it. Or it can be more specific to threats have been made, to higher level of possibility that something's going to happen, and so we're more keyed in on the individual that made the threat, have information on what was said and who said it and what their ability to carry that out is and everything.
Yeah. So corporations, for lack of a better term, rich people, okay? Because, rich people, they can afford, to subcontract out security. Someone like me, I mean, basically, I'm my own protector and defender. I have to do that myself. And you probably don't hire someone to protect you. You do it on your own, but everybody's different. What is the largest growing aspect of private security that you're seeing?
This is kind of the typical instructor answer, especially in the firearms world, when we start talking about like use of force conversations and stuff, but it depends. It depends on how we look at it. I would say it's all growing quite rapidly, from the more of the what they call contract guard work, where having people at like warehouses and guard shacks and events and venues and that kind of stuff. Businesses are recognizing the need to shift that liability off of themselves and bring in professionals that can make sure that's all taken care of and squared away, so they're not bringing liability onto themselves and putting that ball in their court. But then on the other piece, like we've been talking about with the personal security details there, people are recognizing that there's a need for that as well, because you think about that, just like businesses with events and lots of physical assets, they need to protect those. Well, executives in corporate companies and things, if something horrible were to happen to a key player in a business, then there's stock prices and things like that are all affected too. So it's something that we're seeing, that the need recognition is definitely there. And then the utilization of private, because there's not a public entity that can cover that for them. So I would say that the security sector in general is just continuing to grow, and the public sector doesn't have the means to cover all that.
Yeah, that makes sense. What I've noticed, Trevor, I'd say probably about 8 years ago, things kind of changed. Our society changed quite a bit. I mean, back in 2017, I think that was the year that the George Floyd riots occurred, and they were like all over the country, in almost every major city. And, public security was either overwhelmed or they just didn't rise to the occasion. They just kind of stood down and let them burn and rape and pillage whatever they wanted to do. I think that affected society as a whole, and all of us as individuals, because we were watching all of this on television. And I think it made us more security conscious. It's like, well, like in our neck of the woods here, in Grand Rapids, it's like you don't think of Grand Rapids as a dangerous city like you would Chicago or New York City, but we watched riots occurring in Grand Rapids, which is not a large city by any stretch. But I think it just changed everything, made people a little more afraid, and it was a little bit kind of like a wake up call. It's like, yeah, this can happen where you live. And I think just people in general, they're seeing that the world is not as safe as they thought it was. And it's been a big change. And I see the security industry, private security, just growing steadily for a long, long time. So I think you picked the right business to get involved with. So what prompted you to get involved in this private security business? Because I know that's not, first tell us your background. For the last 10 years, you've been doing, such and such. So give us a bio here.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take it all the way back to when I was 10 years old, because I think that applies. Where I kind of started working wise was Dad had a family business. He saw in the early 2000s some things coming, so he started his business. And then fast forward to when I was 10 years old, started working with him and kind of grew up in the family business. And then went a little different direction, went into law enforcement for a little bit. And throughout that, got connected with Wade, who started Trinity Training and Security, and was working on days off and part-time capacity. And then there came a point where he was trying to figure out kind of a retirement plan, and had a couple different irons in the fire, and one of which was Trinity Training and Security. And we had a conversation about either purchasing or managing, and the route we went was buying the business, and I absolutely love it and I'm passionate about it. And we've got a fantastic team of people that do a great job, and that's the key there, is having that extremely squared away team of the right people in the right spots. And it's all them. It's this business is not me, it's the people within it. They're the ones that are the wheel that makes the car go down the road, for sure.
Yeah. So what are the biggest challenges on owning and running a business like this?
I would say biggest challenges in any business that I've had exposure to, and it's doesn't exclude ours as well, as is really making decisions. And that's life in general. There is a lot of opportunity there. I think Richard Branson was the one that had the quote of business opportunities are like city buses where the next one will come. That's what I see as a big challenge, is knowing where to invest your time and your resources. And there is a component of getting the right people in the right spots that can be challenging as well. But I think really just making the right investments of your time. And, if you invest your money in the wrong spot, you can always make more later, but time's something you can never get back. So that's probably the biggest one, is just being diligent with where you're putting your time and making sure it's a good avenue to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would agree with that because, I've been self-employed for about 25 years. Okay. And I don't regret it at all, even though there are aspects of it that are a real pain in the butt because, but looking back in hindsight, or I can see where I made my mistakes. It's like, okay, I made that decision. I zigged when I should have zagged. I lost that opportunity, but you can't beat yourself up for that because it's part of the learning process, right? I mean, you can go to college and you can get a degree in organizational leadership or something like that. But most of the learning isn't done in the classroom. It's done out in the real world. And that's making mistakes. That's how we get wisdom. We get wisdom by screwing up and then recovering, doing the right thing, realigning, getting on that true north compass setting again, and then just soldiering on. So, making the right decisions. From what I can see from where I'm sitting, Trevor, you're making good decisions. And Trinity Training and Security, it's growing. I think you're going to continue to grow. And I'm really happy to have TTS on the Home Defense Show teams. You guys are doing fantastic. I've met a lot of the guys there, a lot of your security agents. They're top notch, and I think you guys, you're going to do really, really well. We're about out of time. Is there anything that you wanted to cover that we haven't, Trevor?
I would love to talk about a lot of the things that you kind of touched on there. Just talking about kind of some of the things we've seen historically with riots and behavioral shifts and that kind of stuff. But I don't believe we have time to dig into all of them. Won't bring it up.
Sure. Well,
but it's something, when you talk about training and security and why it's all needed and why people would victimize other people and the psychology of all that. It's a very, very interesting topic to go down that rabbit hole and, think about the needs of all this stuff. And, but yeah, like I said, we'll be here for another few months. So,
well, one of the sad things about the industry that we're in, self-defense and security and training is the worse society gets, the better our business does, which that's sad, but it's the reality. And I just look at, our industry as part of the solution. It's an asset, not a liability. And we're empowering people to defend themselves and their families, and we're giving them options to do that. But before you go, Trevor, tell people how they can find out more about your business and get in contact with you. Maybe they want to hire your services.
Yeah, trinitytrainingandsecurity.com is our website there. We're on the Facebook, the Instagram. You can always shoot us an email, info@trinitytrainingandsecurity.com, or give me a call, 616-648-5958. Few different options there. But yeah, we would love to work with you, whether it's a event or something within your business or training, security, any of it. So would love to help in any way we can.
All right. TrinityTrainingAndSecurity.com. Trevor, thank you very much for being on Home Defense Show today, and thank you for being one of our sponsors.
Yeah, thank you, Skip. Thanks again for having me.
All right. All right, this is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Coming up next, we'll be speaking with a self-defense instructor in the shootingclasses.com self-defense report, where we get some expert advice on the details of self-defense. But during the break, I want you to log into rumble.com and search on the Home Defense Show. I posted a series of entertaining and educational videos there just for you. Check them out and don't forget to like, share, and follow. God bless and stay safe, because we will be right back.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
At Center Shot Gun Range, we are passionate about training. Don't know where to start? We offer a 1-hour new shooter seminar to introduce you to the world of firearms and help you find training opportunities specific to you. Concealed carry, home defense, firearm safety, AR-15, private one-on-one training, custom training, or maybe you're on a security team looking to protect your church or business. We even offer weekday morning and evening classes. Center Shot Gun Range has you covered. Start your journey at centershotgunrange.com.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
Attention business owners. Are you leaving your website open to security issues and hacking due to a lack of maintenance or overseas outsourcing? Don't let that happen to your business. Choose experienced U.S.-based website developers that can customize your website to fit your specific needs. Appletree MediaWorks has been growing businesses online since 2009. With over 80 years of combined experience, their team conducts constant research and development to keep up with ever-changing online threats. Your website deserves the best protection available. Call Appletree MediaWorks today at 877-977-1364 to keep your website secure and grow your business online. Or visit appletree.media.
Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If this sounds good to you, you sound good to me. And I'd like to help you do those things. Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If you're looking for more excitement in your life, we have nothing to offer you. But if you are a thoughtful, responsible, nonviolent man or woman, we'd love to teach you what to do if something crazy happens. More importantly, we'd like to teach you what not to do. We currently have over 500,000 members. They are doctors and single moms and firemen and grandmothers and veterans and Democrats and Republicans and members of every faith. But the one thing they all have in common is that they know exactly what to do if something crazy happens. When you're with one of our members, you are safe. Our members know how to de-escalate situations. They know how to calm things down. We are the United States Concealed Carry Association. See what we're all about at usconcealedcarry.com.
Discover the little-known backstory of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association at usconcealedcarry.com.
In today's world, safety and preparedness are more important than ever. At Trinity Training and Security, we offer comprehensive training for your peace of mind. Whether you're obtaining your concealed pistol license, mastering CPR and first aid, or engaging in scenario-based training, we've got you covered. We look forward to working with you in one of our classes or bringing the class to your church, school, or business. Need security for an event? Protecting your assets? Our team provides private security, close protection, media crew escorts, high security terminations, and more. Always with discretion and professionalism. With Trinity, safety is more than a service. It's a commitment.
He's no Einstein, but he can read and write and feed himself just like a big boy. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was the beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show. And I'm your host, Skip Coryell. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Appletree Media, and Center Shot Indoor Gun Range for all your training and equipment needs. And now it's time for our weekly self-defense report, sponsored by shootingclasses.com. And today we're speaking with firearms instructor and retired DEA agent Vann Winn from the great state of Georgia. Vann, thanks for coming back on the Home Defense Show today.
Hey, good to be here. this one took us a minute to get together, but hey, I'm glad we're on, and let's get it done.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wanted to talk about drugs and crime in the United States, because I don't know, it just seems like the two are always related. I mean,
Yes.
anyone who's been a cop for more than a year quickly learns that crime and drugs, it's like they're almost synonyms.
Yes, and it one goes with the other. You can't really have one without the other, because both kind of prop up the other. People who are addicted to drugs are often the ones that are breaking into houses and stealing things. It's, from petty crime all the way up to murder for something very serious, and maybe a big drug deal.
Yeah. Well, I ran across this this write-up from the DEA in my research, and it's the executive summary of the 2025 National Drug Threat Assessment. And apparently they put one of these out every single year. Are you familiar with it?
I am, yes. I haven't looked at that one, but I do know they put them out every year, because we would always get them.
Well, I'm just going to read the first paragraph of this, and then you can try and break it down for us here, okay?
All right.
All right. It says Mexican cartels' production, trafficking, and distribution of powerful illicit synthetic drugs, chiefly fentanyl and methamphetamine, represent a dire threat to public health, the rule of law, and national security in the U.S. The Sinaloa and Jalisco New Generation cartels, together with their procurement, distribution, and financial support networks stretching across Latin America, China, and other key global nodes, remain the dominant threats for the trafficking of these and other drugs into the U.S. In the 12-month period ending in October 2024, 84,076 Americans died from drug overdose, according to the most recent available provisional stats from the CDC, underscoring the devastating effect these cartels have on our country. Although these numbers show a 25% decline since the same 12-month period last year, when the country lost 112,910 people to drug poisonings, demonstrating positive momentum in the fight against these drugs and the organizations trafficking them, the threat remains grave. The trend is hopeful, however. October 2024 was the 11th consecutive month in which CDC reported a reduction, and the current stats represent the largest 12-month reduction in drug overdose deaths ever recorded. All right, so it's down 25%, according to the acting director, I think, of the DEA.
Yes. Well, that's a twofold thing. One of it is obviously a better borders, better enforcement at our borders, and better drug enforcement. But the other aspect of that is education. A lot of people are figuring out that, hey, if there's fentanyl mixed in anything and it's just a little too much extra, it will kill you. So the days of people taking lots of pills, going out and partying, taking ecstasy or taking meth or taking, even something that they believe is like I shouldn't say over the counter, but a pharmaceutical drug like oxycodone or something, those things that are fake have fentanyl mixed in them as their active ingredient. And that's like a cake batter. If you mix up a cake and you don't mix it really well, it gets lumpy. I'm not a cook, but that's my analogy. So when they're mixing all these chemicals to make these fake pills or whatever they're doing, if they don't mix it just perfectly, then that means when you get one pill may be just fine, the next pill may be 10 times stronger and it may kill you. So I think a lot of that, honestly, is probably some education and people learning that you just can't trust things that they used to could trust. And it's hard to say that for somebody who's addicted to drugs, but that's probably true.
So you can't trust drug dealers, really?
Well, I know it's a revelation for most people, but the drug cartels are would not be high on my trust list. Especially Sinaloa, we arrested a DEA arrested the main Jacqueline Guzman, the main guy of that cartel, also arrested his son. But it's like anything else, you chop off the head of the snake and somebody else steps up to take their place. But then the New Generation and Jalisco cartels, they're all this stuff is just it's never ending. Those cartels have been around a very long time. I can remember back in the 90s, And here we are talking about them again in 2025.
Mm-hmm. Well, it kind of sounds a lot like terrorist organizations like Al Qaeda or ISIS.
Well, they are.
All of
I
those.
mean, yeah, those cartels are terrorist organizations. They may not be looking to blow up the capital of our country or whatever, but the threat that they pose to this nation is a terrorist. And I think several of these have been designated as terrorist organizations in the past. And the president has the authority to do that. And I think drug cartels are absolutely terrorist organizations because, their goal is profit. That's all they care about. It's all about the money. But you get in their way and you will see quickly the devastation that they leave behind them, whether it's in their own country or in our country or any other country, as far as that goes.
Well, what kind of things do they do?
Normal stuff like chop people's heads off, cut them up into pieces with chainsaws, hang them from bridges to prove their point so everyone knows that they got sideways with the cartel. People in Mexico disappear when you cross these people. It's a very, very, they're just so deadly in so many ways. Forget the fentanyl and all the stuff that they do. Just the people themselves the drug cartel themselves are extremely dangerous, especially if you interfere with what they're doing.
But these are all foreigners. They're not Americans.
No, they're going to be Mexican. For those cartels, they'll be Mexican nationals, obviously. And what happened in the late 80s, early 90s is, it used to be all about the Colombians. It was all Colombian cocaine. And then things started changing and Colombia started going through the Mexicans and then selling the drugs to the Mexicans. And the Mexican cartels kind of sprang up from that and obviously from marijuana trafficking and everything else. But now, as you read in that report, the synthetic stuff, which is, fentanyl, methamphetamine, those synthetic drugs are now becoming the big thing because, you can take a pill and if police officer pulls you over and you have a prescription for oxycodone and you have a pill bottle full of oxycodone pills, he's not going to think anything of that, even if they're fake. He doesn't know if they're fake, right? And neither do you. That's the problem. So if you're not getting your stuff from an actual pharmacy, I wouldn't take a pill. If me and you were out together and you said, "Hey, take this pill, you got a bad headache," I said, "No, thank you. I don't." Unless you can tell me, maybe with you, but unless I know exactly where it came from, I would be very hesitant to take anything, especially with fentanyl out there because you see this stuff all the time where the overdoses are killing people. Thank God, a lot of people. The other thing that's I don't know about. It's not stopping the overdoses, but it's certainly saving people is being able to have Narcan. And Narcan is becoming a very popular thing for the ambulance drivers to carry. Police officers are now carrying it. So if they come up on somebody who's overdosed on one of these drugs, they can hit them with Narcan and bring them back. Where if they didn't hit them in another 10 or 15 minutes, they'd probably be completely dead and unable to be brought back.
Yeah, I was a couple of days ago. I was working a security gig, and the security officer I was working with, he showed me he had like a sling bag, and he says, "Yeah, the Narcan's inside here." And but to be honest with you, I know a little bit about Narcan, but I don't really know how it works or how they make it, or what can you tell us about that?
Well, I'm not a drug manufacturer either. I don't know how they make it, but all I know is it will stop the reactions. You have opioid receptors in your body, and when you take an opioid or like fentanyl or anything else, whether it's synthetic or real, your body just absorbs that stuff, and fentanyl somehow is able to stop that and short circuit that connection and literally take you from being so high and so messed up that you can't, you're completely passed out to somebody who's now not only wide awake, but sometimes wide awake and dramatically pissed off and super agitated. Wow. So it's when you hit somebody with Narcan, sometimes it's better just to, give them the Narcan and kind of step back because you don't know what they'll do. Sometimes they wake up slowly. Sometimes they may wake up screaming, kicking and fighting. And actually, even with DEA, before I retired from DEA, they started issuing us Narcan. So all of the agents had Narcan as well. So So that's a good thing, and that saves a lot. Like I said, that's not going to keep people from overdosing, but it will keep them from dying.
Yeah.
So I think that, but I think the reason the stats are falling is because obviously we have better security on our borders. We're not getting it's not as easy now for these cartels to cross stuff. If you have an open border, then drugs are coming across so easily, and from walking across with people, from coming over in cars or 18-wheelers. A lot of stuff comes in 18-wheelers across the border. So all those things are now a lot more strict, and it's a lot harder for them to do. So that's one thing that's certainly helping in DEA and immigration and customs, and everybody that's ICE that's doing all these things are really helping. But the other thing, like I said, I do believe education, because I think a lot of people are realizing, even young people are realizing how dangerous this is. And you go to a party and somebody gives you a pill, you may or may not wake up from that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's different from like other drugs, like, something that you smoke or,
Well,
sniff
you
or
can
things
smoke
like
meth.
that.
You can smoke meth. A lot of people did smoke meth. When we think of methamphetamine, some people smoke it, some people snort it, some people eat it even. But yeah, typically when we think of smoking, we think of something like marijuana. But even marijuana could be laced with fentanyl if somebody did something like that. Because, one of the reasons people smoke marijuana sometimes is to mellow out, kind of chill out and relax. Well, if you had just a little fentanyl in there, that's an opioid. That's gonna help you relax. But a little too much of it, again, it's gonna kill you. So you just never know. So is the days of just going out back with somebody you met in a bar and smoking a joint like people used to do, that's really a dangerous thing to do, because you don't know where that stuff come from. Like, unfortunately, we just can't trust our drug dealers anymore. What's the world coming to?
Yes, I know. Well, I'm interested in your opinion on marijuana. First off, marijuana, cannabis, THC. I know they're correlated somehow, but say you're talking to someone who has never taken an illegal substance in their life. I've never smoked dope. I've never done anything like that before. I just stayed away from it my whole life because it didn't seem smart to me. I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. A lot of my friends were doing that kind of stuff,
Right.
but it's like I just stayed away from that. All this marijuana and cannabis, it's legal like almost everywhere now. First, what is the difference when they throw around these terms like cannabis, THC, marijuana? What are the differences in those three?
Well, cannabis sativa is marijuana. That's what it is. THC is tetrahydrocannabinol. That is the active ingredient in cannabis or in marijuana. So when you see gummies, example, people say, we got these sleep gummies. They're cannabis sleep gummies. Well, if they don't have any THC in them, they won't get you high. They won't give you that mellow, high feeling. If they do have THC in them, some states now are saying you can have a certain level of THC, but it's a pretty low level. And other states, have just pretty much legalized marijuana altogether. I think, but all three of those are basically the same thing. When you're saying THC, you're just saying this is the active ingredient in marijuana. So if I gave you just THC oil or something like that, that's, you wouldn't smoke it, but you could lace something with it. You could lace a cigarette with it and then smoke that, and it'd be the same thing as smoking a joint. Okay. But it'd probably be a lot stronger, honestly.
Okay. Well, I know there are some people, I've met people and they say, well, yeah, I take this cannabis gummies for pain relief. And they say it doesn't get me high because there's no THC inside it. Something like that. There's no reason not to do that if you're using it for legitimate pain relief. Is that correct?
Well, again, who makes it?
Okay.
Where did it come from? And those are the big things. Now, yeah, is there medical benefits from some of the cannabis products out there that don't have THC in them? I think there probably is. People, they for a long time they've made Marinol out of marijuana. Well, Marinol is a nausea medicine. And so there's been things that's been made with marijuana in the past. There's a lot more stuff now. Now, once again, as you go into one of these cannabis shops or CBD shops, all this stuff. So where's this product coming from? A lot of these products are coming from China. And, I don't know if you've noticed, but China's not really our best friend.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
They put a lot of, they send a lot of stuff over here that they would never give to their own people. And so, does this stuff have lead in it? I don't know. I don't know where the things are coming from. I know there's some stuff that's made here, but again, it's just a very gray, murky area to me, because even if you have, let's just use California as a great example. They have all these places in California where they can grow legal pot, right? Or they have them in Colorado where you can grow legal pot. Well, when I was a DEA agent, I'm talking to those guys working cases and stuff. Guess what they're doing? They're working cases on places that grow legal pot, and then they're taking it, they're growing more than they're supposed to, or they're hiding other parts of it. Then they're growing it, loading it on trucks and shipping it out of the state somewhere else. So it's an illegal drug trade. I'm not saying they all do that, and I'm sure they don't, but quite a few of them were doing that. So again, when you legalize a product like marijuana, you're taking something that is a black market drug that's only done and distributed and taken care of by black market people, i.e. drug cartels and those involved in drug trafficking. And now you're making it legal. And suddenly you're like, oh, I can take this now, right? Because it's legal. Well, you can, but again, do we really trust our drug dealers in that aspect, that this is a clean product, it's healthy, that there's the right stuff in it? I'm not sure. I wouldn't personally take that stuff. I don't think it's a great idea.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I've been reading articles lately, just things that come up in my news feed about, studies that they've done since marijuana started to become legal. And apparently what they're finding is that this stuff is not all as innocent and harmless as, as they've been telling us all along. And I think it's probably because, before, when it was illegal, it wasn't as widely taken or taken as much or whatever. Now people are taking it more often, and more people are taking it more often. And I think there are some health things, issues that are rising. What do you know about that?
I don't know a lot about the health implications of it. I would think it would be like anything else. It's according to how you're taking it. If you're smoking marijuana, smoking marijuana, for example, has way more carcinogens in it than a cigarette does. And we already know that cigarette smoking is really bad for you, right? We all know that. Mm-hmm. And the cigarette industry hid that from us for a long time. Well, now we know that marijuana has a lot of bad things. Are there some potential good benefits of marijuana? There are. And those things need to be done properly through the correct pharmaceutical industries and the laboratories here in this country that do these things and do these testings and have third-party testing to prove that they're, what's in this supplement or your gummy or whatever is exactly what it says it is. And I know that there are some gummy manufacturers that do that. They have a third-party testing, but I can also tell you, when I was working DEA, we had some things that we would catch people making these synthetic drugs, and they would put all these little cards in there that it was tested by third party, and it was not. It was just something they put in there to make it look good. So you have to be really careful. And so the health benefits and the health risk, I don't know which outweighs which. I would, if you talk to your pharmacist and they feel confident and they've done their due diligence on something that they're selling in their pharmacy, and most pharmacies, they're not going to sell just anything. There are bad pharmacists out there, just like there are bad doctors and bad lawyers and bad cops and, sure, everything. Bad podcast guys, you know how that is. But
yes,
but
I know exactly what you mean.
But for the most part, I think if you have a pharmacy you trust and they're selling those and they've done their due diligence, they can probably tell you a lot, and they can verify that there's actually been a third party testing and that would be the only way I would even consider it. I wouldn't just go into a CBD shop or like what we used to call them head shops. You go in there, get bongs and everything else for marijuana and scales, and you get all the paraphernalia in the world in there. But that's not where I would go to get my CBD. If I was going to get something to take to help me sleep or help me with chronic pain, I would go through my doctor and I'd go through my pharmacist.
Yeah. Well, earlier you mentioned China, how they might not have our best interest in mind. It makes sense to me that China would want to facilitate drugs into the United States because we're basically we are their rival, a world rival, and
Yes.
They want to overtake us. And from a national defense, but also from an individual personal defense standpoint, it's never made sense to me to get high, okay? Even drinking too much.
Right.
From just an individual personal defense standpoint, it's like it alters your state of mind. It lowers your inhibitions. Which I mean that can be okay, I guess, if you're working up the courage to, propose to your girlfriend or something. But as a general rule, though, it makes people do bad things that they normally wouldn't do, whether you're talking about alcohol or any type of a drug. And if China wants to overthrow the United States, why do it militarily if they can make us rot from the inside out? Because if everybody's high, nobody's producing anything. And
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just going down the tubes there. But
well, when you think of whether it's China or whoever, but when you think about how much CBD and cannabis and gummies and all this stuff is being used now, I hear young people talking about this. Like, yeah, I take every time when I get home from work, I take me a couple CBD chews. It helps me mellow out. Then I take some for sleep. And like, well, maybe it does help you, but I'm with you. The worst thing that you can possibly do is mess up yourself mentally, mess up your physical balance, mess up your awareness when you're in public. So do you want your bus driver drinking and while he's driving the bus? Obviously not. Do you want your airplane pilot taking gummies? And if he does take gummies the night before to sleep, how long is that stuff in his system before he's out again? I don't know. So I think it's a very slippery slope. We used to call marijuana, and we always called marijuana a gateway drug because people would, when they're smoking marijuana, just like when you're, as you said, when you're drinking alcohol, working up your courage, when you're altering your mental state in any shape, form, or fashion, you're much more likely to make other bad decisions right after that. So the reason it was called a gateway drug, if you smoked some marijuana and got high, and then while we're high, I was like, hey, check this out, try one of these. You're much more likely to do it, just like you'd be much more likely to do it if you were 3/4 in the wind drinking and I offered you something. That's just because it lowers our inhibitions. It lowers a lot of our awareness, a lot of our consciousness of what we're doing, and we don't think things through sometimes, especially when we're drunk or high.
Well, that reminds me of that old saying, hey, Bubba, watch this, that's the kind of,
hold my beer.
Yeah. Hold my beer
and watch this. That generally doesn't work out real well, does it?
Yeah. You get down. All right. Well, hey, you have given, this, when it comes to drugs, I'm kind of like Radar O'Reilly from MASH, from Iowa. So thank you for the education there, Vann. You know a lot more about it than I do.
I know more than I want to, I'll tell you that.
Okay, yeah, you've seen some things that are probably going to be there with you for a long time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. But hey, let's talk about something positive here. Let's your training, Reticent Warrior. Tell the people how they can find out more about what you do on that regard.
Sure. My training company is called Reticent Warrior Tactics. We teach lots of firearms training. We teach close quarters combat, CQB, CQC, and we teach a lot of different combatives. We teach Krav Maga. We teach what I call integrated survival combatives, which combines a lot of different things. But you can find all that at our website, reticentwarriortactics.com.
reticentwarriortactics.com. Sounds good. Well, hey, Vann, thank you very much for being on the Home Defense Show today. We appreciate it very much.
I appreciate you having me again, Skip. Good talking to you.
All righty. Okay, folks, that about wraps it up for this week's show. I've had a good time, and I hope you have too. Please don't forget to thank our sponsors, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range at centershotgunrange.com, shootingclasses.com to help you find the right trainer for your needs, Apple Tree Media for website security, and the United States Concealed Carry Association. For all your self-defense needs, go to uscca.com. I've written 20-plus books, and they're all available on Amazon.com in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. This week, check out my action-adventure novel, Church and State. I think you'll like it. And also check out the Home Defense Show videos on Rumble.com. And if you want training from me in person, then check out Midwest Tactical Training at shootingclasses.com. Please join us again next week for all your home defense needs. In the meantime, God bless and stay safe.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best